Yeah, it could be, yeah. Say, look, you can be my snow this afternoon, early evening.
This next winter.
What's that?
What's next winter?
Oh, that's next winter.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
okay.
what it is.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah, your memories.
Yeah, we haven't got that much snow in these storm yet.
It's tomorrow, warm. It's gonna be mid-30s, high 30s.
Don't worry, go away the next day.
Yeah.
Just like every other day, spring.
Yeah.
Winter, spring.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, stick it on you. Still will take me out.
Make sure I leave.
Hmm. Just the school stuff. And you get it.
Yeah, just be added.
Yeah.
The new version.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, I didn't-
You didn't remember, did you? I don't know how I happened to.
And she's so funny. You can see her the whole weekend.
She hasn't fallen in this.
She has. She has.
One thing I'm curious about on the pre-K, what happens if we approve it, Southwest doesn't, or the other way around? Because where it's a joint thing.
Okay, I've got 5 o'clock. Call the meeting to order today, Tuesday, February 18th, 2020. We have roll call is Selectman Howdy Goodwin, Mike Mansalili, Mackenzie Jewett, Kevin Buck, myself, Jamie Thurlow, Town Manager Chris Saunders, and Town Clerk Katie Danduran. Adoption of agenda. I have one thing that I need to add on to our list, and I think we'll put it under after the town manager's report, have it be 8B, and it will be an executive session for personnel for town manager assessment. You need to add that on there.
Okay. You can have the paragraph and a half we need to read. Okay.
Okay.
You can memorize it after.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
All right. Approval of minutes. We have the minutes from Monday, February 3rd, 2020.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of Monday, February 3rd, 2020.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of Monday, February 3rd, 2020. Any discussion? All those in favor? Approval of warrants. We have warrant 82 for $9,496.84. Warrant 83 for $101,999.70. 84 for $10,109.02. 85 for $10,755.35. And warrant 86 for $118,147.35.
I'll make a motion that we approve warrants 82 through 85.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve warrants 82 through 85. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
I make a motion to approve warrant 86.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve warrant 86. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Abstain.
Okay. Financial reports. Chris.
No, nothing too exciting in the month of January. Everything is continuing on pretty smoothly. Only a couple highlights. On the revenue side, I'm pleased to say that the motor vehicle tax collections are 67% of where we'd expect them to be at this point, but we're only 59% of the way through the year, so those are as scheduled. Those were lower than expected last year, so it's, they're hard to predict. It's really based on the economy. On the expense side, I just wanted to make one amendment to what I wrote, that in the equipment, you can see that the repairs outline, the contracted repairs outline is lower, and then the parts and supplies lines are higher than what we had budgeted for the year, but overall, the cost, if you added up all three, is significantly under budget. And that's because we have some folks down in the Public Works garage who are pretty good at fixing these trucks and don't need to send them out for repairs. So it's a lot less expensive for us to do it in-house. And it's not just one person, it's the whole crew. So that's my amendment.
Okay.
Otherwise, I have no major things.
Thank you, Chris.
I make a motion to accept the July 2019 through January 2020 financial reports.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the July 2019 through January 2020 financial reports. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. First thing on regular business is the FY 21 budget preparation for the school budget. Who would like to start off?
I guess I'll start off with that and I'll pass it over. So there just were a few things, maybe I stand.
It's up to you.
After we visited with you folks last time, there were a few things that we went back to talk over, including the paving. You were incredibly supportive and we appreciate that of the other additional items, but we really wanted to see what we could do with regards to the paving. So I got in touch with Nancy, we talked it over, and I spoke with Bob, and he felt like if he at least knew that there was a specific number that he had to work within, then he'd be able to, we were not able to get estimates in time to get back to you folks. We just didn't hear back from people and we're struggling with that. So we were able to say we'd like to be able to provide him with 20,000 to be able to contact whatever company we can get to come in and have them work with us to determine what are the areas of greatest need to be able to spread that dollar amount out over the various parking lots at the school, including the playground, and take care of the spaces with patching or with any kind of skin coating that might need to happen at this point. So the figure that we put in there right now is the 20,000. We moved the memorial maintenance, that was a $2,000 amount, and we pulled that into Bob's budget because normally a dollar amount of 2,000 would just go right into his budget. And then the other area was for under transportation. We had put in about 7,000 for the consideration of booster seats for the pre-K program. And we removed that knowing that that was not something that Southwest had put in and that was not something that we were required to do. So we took that dollar amount out as well. There are some other changes in here that I'm gonna let Nancy talk to you a little bit more about because she is the queen of numbers.
Just also, just to note, the 5,000 for the paving on the bus area is still in there. So you want to be confused on that. That's still included.
Yep.
in each one.
All right.
Thank you.
I had one question too. I was looking at the budget. What happens on the pre-K if one town approves it and the other doesn't? Does that, I mean, we're talking about combining with Southwest, correct?
Yes. So the reality is, I shouldn't say the reality, but the possibility is if Tremont does approve and Southwest doesn't, that could be tricky because then we would have to look at that space and see whether they would want us to go forward with being a tenant and assuming that space. I think that if the reverse were to happen, if Southwest were to approve and Tremont were to say no, I'm not sure if they'd move forward or not, but the same consideration would be there. So I don't think it's dead in the water, but it would require people circling back and still working within the approved funds that they had to work with.
Okay.
Is that,
Yeah, I just when it goes to town meeting, it's hard to tell
Yeah.
sometimes.
at this point, just so that you know, and we appreciate, again, as January said, the support from last week. Southwest is in exactly the same spot you were at.
Okay.
The board has approved that, and that's going to the selectmen next week. Yeah. So, and I can report back to you, Chris.
Okay.
I'll keep you posted.
Okay, thanks.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
One other item that we did adjust was the state subsidy, because we actually had just gotten the printout before we met with you. And so the state is saying, actually, we're lowballing that a little bit at 250,000. We usually, for Tremont, we don't get that economically disadvantaged money. But what they did was when they figured the whole state, they figured their percentages a little bit different weighted. And so actually, instead of being a 50% that you had to get, it's like a 48%. So Tremont, fortunately, is gonna get hopefully almost $80,000 in that disadvantage money for this year. But it's year to year, so you never know whether you're gonna get it or not. And then the other changes are because your business manager wasn't paying attention. On the, when we did the budget and we had different parts, the anticipated expenditures, I didn't put anticipated expenditures under capital outlay. There was a 0 there, and I was like, whoop. So I went back and refigured, we had some changes in staffing, and we had some changes in health insurance that happened like after we had done all of our figuring, so there were recent ones that would be happening for the rest of the year. So figuring those into the changes in there, you'll see those are in yellow under anticipated receipts. They're spread out within the budget, mostly under regular instruction and special ed and technology. I guess are the 3 areas that we have those changes. And with those changes in place, we feel like we still are able to, what we had before was saving 80,000 to go towards the 21-22 budget. We will be able to have 61,000, and then if the state gives us what we really should be getting for state subsidy, this is just a prelim that they've put out, and we won't know until probably after your town meeting what we're gonna get next year for subsidy, for a total. If we do get what they anticipate, then we will be all set. We would have $80,000.
So then what's the percentage difference from last year? Would it be is that the 2.35?
The 2.35 is without all the additional
Okay,
items.
yes, yeah.
Your town appropriation with the additional items is 8.12 on the appropriation.
Mhm.
The budget itself is up 8.7% with all of the additional items included.
And if I may, I was just doing some quick math, you look at the additional items, and we recognize that that's a big ask, big commitment. But I just wanted to point out as our presentation, bunch of the additional items of the $202,000, about $167,000 represents pre-K, 79,000, and then the remaining is our special education costs. So, not at all to minimize that, but I just wanted to point that out for your consideration.
And we need to have that. There's no,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all of those pieces, and certainly pre-K is something that is, we believe it's important. We believe it's going to further advance those children. As Jandria said, the hope is that down the road, getting to those children early will we'll have more savings. Obviously, those children will be better cared for and better prepared to do well in school, but the hope is to minimize bigger costs down the road by doing those interventions. Outside of that, within those additional items, the special education costs are really the ones that we can't escape. That's difficult.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Any thoughts from you guys?
I think they've done a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, some of it you can't get around, so it is what it is.
Looks a lot better than last time they did. Yeah, looks
It does.
substantially better.
It's not an easy thing
Yeah.
to do, so.
I mean, it's a big number, a big
Mm.
ask, but you folks, we really appreciate your consideration.
I mean, there's some things you just have to have. I mean, you get to a point where you can't cut any more out.
Yeah.
It's
And I think we understand that.
We do try to, I know we are repeating ourselves, but, again, I feel like you do such a wonderful job of supporting us that you deserve to hear this. We really try to stick as close as we can and, to our original budgets and try not to inflate them very much with, just, our supply costs and the teaching costs and whatnot. And every year it seems to be, it's very similar things that increase the budget. So I really do appreciate you taking time to listen and recognizing that, we did go back and we really tried to be thoughtful about the changes that we made and then we might be able to save some more funds.
I think, regardless of how you folks move forward, I think what's really important is that we bring those one-page explanations forward to the town meeting. And I'm incredibly proud of the work that Jen and her teachers and the kids are doing. So I think it's important for the community to see the results, the data in terms of how the school is progressing and really, really doing well with the testing so that they know, hopefully folks will be able to say, hey, they're getting a good bang for the buck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay.
Woody.
Okay, the amount for appropriations is $3,471,472, is that correct?
That would be
Because-
with all the additions.
Yeah, with all the
Total
additions, yeah.
budget.
Yep.
That's not taxation.
That's what I was wondering.
So the
Usually-
that we want is this,
Is it?
is the one that Chris is gonna want on the motion.
You want the total budget. Would
Yep.
be, the
Yep.
3.4.
It'd be this.
Okay,
347.
okay.
Yeah. Right there.
Or is it just the
town
appropriation?
appropriation is what I would like in the motion.
Okay, that's not the 3.4, right? Okay, that's what I was wondering.
That's that 3,300,000, $3,003,440.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to be sure. Okay, thanks.
Stand corrected on that
There you go.
one. All right.
See if I listen to you.
Yeah.
I make a motion to request the town manager to include $3,003,440 as the Tremont School Fund appropriation in the fiscal year 21 budget.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to request the town manager to include $3,003,440 as the Tremont School Fund appropriation in the FY 21 budget. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you guys.
Thanks for all the hard work.
Yeah.
All right, next thing is 7B, school property deed amendments.
That's a good thing.
Chris, can you explain this a little bit?
Yeah, so this is a tricky one. I will do my best to summarize. In 1950, the national park conveyed to the town of Tremont the land on which the Tremont School currently sits. And in 1952, the town of Tremont conveyed it to the Tremont School District. when the national park or when the federal government made that conveyance, they included the deed covenant that the deed restriction that the property could only ever be used for school purposes. In 2011, the town manager of Tremont, who I believe at the time was Miller Jones, was privy to discussions, wide open discussions about, what's the future of the school district. And there were a lot of things on the table at that time, including possible consolidation and the closure of the school, which raised the question, if that ever did happen, what would happen to that land? Would it revert to the national park, or would something else happen? And so he requested of the congressional delegation that there be as part of a law that was currently in the process of being written and passed, that the deed restriction be changed to allow for school or public purposes. And that word public was inserted into the bill. That law, 8 years later, passed last March, and the National Park Service now would like the town and the schools to sign off on that deed amendment. And I ran it past our attorney. His comments were, this is a very unusual situation. It's hard to say exactly who has the authority. If there is any controversy at all, if there's any concern about whether or not we should do this, send it to town meeting.
Mhm.
But if everyone feels comfortable with this and this is not going to, raise concerns, you can do it right now. You can authorize me to sign it right now. Mark's gonna sign it at the same time. Katie is now a notary and has all of her supplies and will notarize it and we can be done with it.
I don't think we should complicate it. I think we should just sign it. We waited this long for it.
No, I feel the same way.
To hear a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to sign a quitclaim deed amendment dated February 18th, 2020, or amend the deeds registered with the Hancock County at book 737, page 467, and book 741, page 324.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to authorize the town manager to sign a quitclaim deed amended dated February 18th, 2020, that will amend the deeds registered with Hancock County at book 737, page 467, and book 741, page 324. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Do you mind giving us a few minutes so we can sign it and have Katie notarize it?
Sure, good.
I can't imagine anyone's gonna get too worked up about that. We've been working
This is
on
a
it
good time
forever.
for standing
It
inside.
might take, remember Dana was worried about
Yeah.
if anything
Yeah.
ever. We'd be able to-
That discussion's been going on for a long time. I think everyone kind of figured it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and sign. Mark, right there. So far, it's actually written in the document. So you, Jamie, sign there.
Yeah.
Brand new book. And then
That's one of those things, didn't think it'd ever happen.
Otherwise, we're gonna create your own. I mean,
Died in Congress one year and
I think
and
so.
then the state's gonna sign this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
hey, thanks, Mark. Always.
Thank you. We'll get some.
Must be able to have a certain conversation with the school budget, isn't it?
That's all I did.
They did a good job.
Yeah, you did.
I know that's-
Do it at all, Bill. I wouldn't do anything else. Make my 60 degrees up. Yeah, call it good. Lock right in the end. I thought about it.
Oh, good for you.
Mullen does it. He does it in Lemoyne.
I've looked here and see.
It's Lemoyne. and-
Thanks.
He's good at it.
Yeah, I know,
They
right?
live in the salt. So what do we sell in the sand shed, he stores his own stuff there, there's places. Good deal for him. You?
I got a picture to show you. I took down.
Yeah, no. Let's see. Particularly the
That's the guy that used on the boat.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the one they're shooting for. That's the
That's the
one.
one. Can you see
So nice.
There's two different ones, but
Yeah.
come back. Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
You have to sand tomorrow, will you?
Concrete right there, you can see.
Yeah. Very rough.
Stick it on that F-150 if I got to.
I don't know what it's made of.
Show them, just stick it 2 feet. Stick it up 2 feet, I did some cute rise there, Tremont.
Okay. All right, next thing on the agenda is the library building project. This would be to do a change order for the bookcases. Mike, would you like to
Yes.
listen on that?
Several months ago, the board approved the awarding of a contract to Mainstay Prison Industries for constructing the new bookcases for the library. And we got a great price from them, $10,500 for over 20 bookcases. And we have since come up with a drawing for a storage area that will also be in the new addition behind the circulation desk, and we wanted it to look the same. So we shipped down some drawings and specs, and they came back with a quote of $2,900, which is really good. It's 8 feet tall and 8 feet wide, and doors and all kinds of things. We'd like to amend that first approval you gave us to include the $2,900 to do this work. We have taken delivery of the bookcases, and they're beautiful. They're really, really nice bookcases. I mean, buy some for my house. So we'd like to amend that to include $2,900 for what we're calling the circulation desk storage.
Thank you.
Just remains standing.
Yeah. No, they do great work. It seems like the
Yeah.
stuff that I've seen.
Just as an aside, if you ever go onto the state site, they have about a 15-minute video
Mhm.
on the work they do there. It's really an interesting thing to watch. They've been doing that in the state of Maine since 1820.
I make a motion to approve a change order to increase the Maine State Prison Industries library bookcase bid by $2,900 for the addition of a lockable storage unit.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve a change order to increase the Maine State Prison Industries library bookcase bid by the amount of $2,900 for the addition of a lockable storage unit. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Next thing is the library building project.
We have had a design for a circulation desk for quite a while, and we shopped it around. We were only able to get 2 cabinet makers that were interested in doing it. And the usual reasons, everybody's already too busy doing other things. We had the 2 bids. I submitted that to town manager with a comparison side by side. The library board last week voted to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that the contract for constructing this desk be awarded to Todd Ewing, resident of Ellsworth. A contract to build a circulation desk at a cost not to exceed $5,000.
So the one question is that the prison wasn't interested in building this?
It's,
or-
it's too complicated, with
Okay.
too many different woods and,
Okay,
yeah, it's-
yeah.
yeah.
I just was curious. that's
No,
all.
no, I would have loved it.
Mhm.
Oh, I want to point out something else too, I'm sorry. But that $10,500, they made 2 trips up here in a box truck to deliver it to us, and they didn't charge us for it, which was unexpected.
Yeah.
So Mike, you said $5,000, the price on the list is 5,200.
We're talking, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Actually, on this contract, it says $49.95.
Okay,
And we told him we wanted to keep it under $5,000. And our attorney is gonna do some work with him on this to help keep those costs down.
okay.
So would you, if we did vote that way, you would want it $49.95 or 5,000?
Is that the way it should be, because that's the contract?
It gets weird because the purchasing policy states that you must approve if it's $5,000 or more. So if you approve it for less than $5,000, then you're sort of
You don't need to approve it.
going it. You don't need to approve it, and
Okay.
you're not following your policy. I would say go with $5,000.
Okay.
And if it comes in less, that's fine.
Make a motion to award the library circulation desk bid to Todd Ewing in the amount of $5,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the library circulation desk bid to Todd Ewing in the amount of $5,000. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, the next thing is motor vehicle idling ordinance. And, I believe Mike would be the one who brought this request to to Chris.
First of all, I want to say, I brought this here just to raise the issue, because there are a lot of times where I think it helps if we can get ahead of some things instead of being behind it. I'm reminded of kind of the controversy in Southwest over the last summer over it. And what I have noticed and wanted to bring to your attention is that over the past summer and into fall, there have been a number of large trucks, diesel trucks, that have ended up being parked around where I live, and they idle all night long, and there's nobody in them. Okay, and that's, it's one thing if it's in the middle of winter with the windows closed and curtains closed and shades down, but quite another thing in the summer, because they are really loud. This is not, I'm not focused on people that leave their engines running when they go to the post office or town hall or Hanson's, none of that. Nothing to do with the vessels in the harbor. It's just the notion that somebody can come in and for their convenience, they'll run their diesel all night long. And of course, the driver doesn't want to stay there, it's real loud, so lock it up, take off. Okay, so there's nobody to talk to, say, please shut this off for 2 hours so I get some sleep. All I'm recommending is I would like to see the Board of Selectmen at least instruct the town manager to investigate what kinds of ordinances may exist and if it is feasible for us to have something. My thought was, you can't leave a vehicle unattended idling for more than an hour.
Yeah, I don't believe it's the trucks that are running. I think it's the reefers on the trucks that are what they're hearing.
To cool the lobster.
But most of them, they have to run the diesels to run.
No.
Well, the one that was parked out in front of me for 2 weeks, that's exactly what happened. It was somehow tied together. You would hear it, you would hear the diesel fire up, and after it ran a little bit, then you'd hear the compressors kick in on refrigeration. Diesel would shut down, refrigeration would run for a while, shut down, 15 minutes later, process started again, the whole routine. Yeah.
And I think they had, there were a couple of cooler units that are closer, that are more like towards the property line right there, those freezer units. I think one of those
they're
had like,
right next to the Underwood.
yeah, and I think those had a more of a freezer unit on it, like those would make some noise too. I wonder if that's what you were hearing too or
Oh,
not.
no, this was definitely a truck.
Oh, okay.
You know, I got up, walked down the road to see what was going on and just found it sitting there idling, and the door was locked and nobody around.
Have you,
Again, I'm not I don't wanna pick on anybody, but I think it could be a problem. Because that is a mixed area, there are a lot of residential houses that are around.
thanks. Yeah, I think, I don't know, I haven't spoken with them. Maybe that's something that we should do is just to see. But I think they, a lot of times load up or get a half a load of lobsters in there, sit and wait for the rest of the other half, and then head out. So, because they're going to Canada. So I think it's a long haul but I mean, obviously if it was empty, I wouldn't think they'd have the refrigeration on
No,
also.
I understand, and again, if we were to look at something that, these were literally there all night, all night, you know. So in my mind, that's being a little over the top,
Hmm.
you know, in terms of, you know. If it's important enough to keep it running, it's important enough that you be there.
Would it be something that you would be comfortable just contacting them and just seeing if there's anything that, you know, maybe we could see explain to them the issue and just see if there's something they could do to remedy it, maybe, so it wouldn't happen as much. If the truck's empty, just sitting there, obviously don't need the reefer unit running, so.
Yeah, because the truck shouldn't be running if the reefer's running. That has nothing to do with the reefer. So the truck should not be running.
They got diesels to power the reefers, right?
They have a generator, they generated power
Yeah,
with the diesel.
yeah,
Needs to
yeah.
start, so the truck shouldn't be running if the cooler's
No.
running. At all.
But you know, what I'm saying is there was a truck
Yeah.
parked in front and the engine was running and it was running the compressor. I'm not disagreeing that they have the generator that runs
Right,
the.
it shouldn't be fuel pump.
Yeah.
Just make some calls or write a letter.
Sure,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Would you like a motion?
If, I'm hearing consensus, I think, from the board.
Yeah, see,
Yes.
Get contact them and
See, I mean, just explain to them that it's
Find out
been
what the
brought
cause
to our
of it is.
attention.
Yep. I think I can
See,
do that without a motion.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yep. All right, next thing is the excavator and trailer bid specs. Chris, would you like to start off and summarize this first,
Yeah.
or?
So at your meeting, I believe on the 21st, you had asked me to draft up some bid specifications. I met with a couple of you. I met with Mike and Howdy to go through these specifications and get your feedback on what's going on or what we had in here. And so these specs just had that, those comments incorporated in them. It's up to you at this point if you want to go out to bid or if you want to do something different.
makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, you went through all the work and you guys said the specs were good, so. You can send them out, worst case, we don't like them, right?
I think also maybe we should get, do bid specs on the backhoe.
Also.
On a new backhoe that way we have something to weigh out the options. Just obviously you put a lot of work in this, keep this going. And then also you had already, because that was on trying to think, the last meeting that we discussed this, I think we started off with the backhoe discussion and it went to an excavator discussion. So maybe we should, if I don't know what anybody else thinks, but maybe we should have the backhoe bid as well. And then,
spec both of them out.
yeah,
We
that's
can
what I mean. Yep.
Figure out what we want to do from there.
That way
See
we
what
can
they,
make
see what they come in at.
Just my opinion.
Okay.
Bobby.
Why does the town of Tremont need an excavator? You explain this to me.
I don't think right now we are getting one. I think it was just some ideas that were brought to us, and we were gonna look into the costs. Originally, like I said, I believe at that last meeting, it was brought up as a backhoe was the topic, and then it went on to discussion of an excavator.
So Baja is the only town on this island that has
Yeah.
themselves. And they already have the trailer to go with it. And they have somebody that can run it. And I mean, to me, what you guys rent, $3,000 or $2,000 last year?
Yeah.
We put 40 hours on it or whatever, or not many. I mean, to me, $3,000 is a lot better than $100,000. When you gotta have a class, you know.
Well, then you gotta turn into a Class A driver. Do we even have a Class A driver?
I think when we discussed this last time, it was a small machine. I don't know what,
You still gotta have a Class A license with a penalty edge.
yeah. I think it was like I can't remember. I don't know what the bid specs were that we had here, but I mean, we had just discussed this. There was a bunch of ideas.
One time with a 10-ton trailer behind it.
Yeah.
Class A commercial vehicle.
Yeah.
No matter,
Supposedly.
no matter what. Yeah, supposedly.
Just for my own edification, is this, if it was a 5-ton, because we're looking at a 10,000-ton machine, add a ton for the trailer itself, that's still.
Yeah, truck, you're still over.
Usually end up being over with like,
Yeah.
I think a 10,000 pound machine with the trailer weight is over. I think a 35 is just under, I believe, is
Yeah.
what I've been
I mean,
told.
even like Gott's 1 tons with a Bobcat on it, with a trailer, you're in the Class A. Legally, you're in a Class A vehicle.
Depends on what you're towing though, too.
If you've got a Bobcat,
That's what
Like if I'm towing water weight, like it's a special, they have a special class for that and they don't ask for a Class A.
that excavator is stealing that water.
Well, still, it's weight, it's weight, it's weight.
I'm
It's
just,
25,900 pounds.
you know, the hours that you put into ditching, I think it would be well worth us buying backhoe and renting out to do the ditches. You know, I mean,
I think that's where the discussion went, and
yeah,
excavators are obviously better for the ditching. And I
Yeah,
think that's
oh,
why,
sure,
yeah, I think that's
sure.
why it went there. And, if we did that, most of what we'd be doing would be loading stuff with the backhoe. So you're not gonna be using, and hopefully the one we had would hold up better. I think that's where the discussion went.
Yeah, and I think I can't remember all of it, but we started out with a backhoe and we talked about leaving the backhoe. I think that was one of my ideas, leaving the one that we have in there, let it,
yeah, because they're not gonna give you anything.
yeah,
Yeah,
let it just rust until there's
Right.
nothing left of it, then have it hauled off just so that we can get another 10 years maybe more out of it. So just have that in salt sand shed.
And wasn't the money, I might have heard it wrong, but wasn't the 100,000 set aside, or we approved it, the town people approved it for a backhoe?
Chris?
So the town has a town equipment reserve, which the selectmen can spend at their own discretion, and an excavator or a backhoe would both be acceptable within the language that created that reserve.
When it was put on the town budget, was it worded, phrased in a,
It was 2 years ago that it was in the budget,
Mhm.
but it was just, it was not something the town meeting had to approve because it was just from the reserve. But my big binder has everything in it.
And that could go as a truck or anything, or it has.
No, equipment, so equipment is different from vehicles. We have a town truck reserve as well.
Yeah, I just think a backhoe would be more economical for the town.
Well, the other thing is, how about a load, just a loader, an articulated loader? How do those run compared to backhoe? I haven't priced them at all.
You can only load.
Yeah.
You're better off keep that one in the sand pile and have the backhoe, you can do ditching
Yeah.
and everything.
I mean, little ditching jobs. I mean, if you were gonna go in like Flatiron Road.
Yeah.
Like last year, they were on it for 2 weeks. I mean, if you had an excavator with rubber tracks.
Well, yeah.
And you had to use big dump trucks instead of the little 1 tons. You set in there and you do it in a day.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent 2 weeks with three people.
Hmm.
I mean, we can use our men on other things. Well, I mean, you're still gonna have to use them, but use them in a dump truck, one flag in and one, hire out, run out the excavator.
That's
I think the
what
town could save a lot more money that way, but that's only my.
You say rent out, you mean hire somebody,
Hire.
hire out somebody to come with an
Hire
excavator, not rent the
Hire a
excavator.
machine with an operator.
Right. I
that's
agree.
what Northeast does.
That runs it all the time.
Right.
And you sit in there and you do your ditching. It's like we rented, when we did McKinley Lane down there. We rented God's excavator and I took Jimmy, I worked for the town that week. We put 9 culverts in one day. Jimmy said I was gonna kill him, but I told him he'd be all right. But, as somebody I'm used to an excavator. Jimmy was putting the culverts in. We put 9 culverts in one day.
Yeah.
It's so much, I don't know.
Well, I think what happened too, Bobby, we got a quote for a couple culverts that were really, it covered 3 months rent on the excavator
Yeah.
for one culvert. So we decided we were going to take a shot at that. And there was a learning curve there for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot to.
yeah.
Just pay for our own culverts, pay for our own material, and just pay for straight excavator time.
Northeast takes and hires one over there, excavator and operator.
Right.
They provide all the trucks, labor is everything. The only thing they hire out is hourly.
Right, that's all they have, then you know what you're getting into.
The only
That's
trouble
not a
that
bad
we,
option.
oops, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
The only trouble we ran into before was obviously everybody's busy in the summer and, when we wanted to do it and, it's hard to,
That's when you get your road commissioner, you get the company that whoever gives the bid, you set a time, you set a date, well, it's gonna be this month. Or we know how many roads we wanna ditch, what culverts we wanna put in, and you give yourself a 2-month period, and then you work it into the,
Schedule.
I really think that's just my point for the town, so.
Okay.
Just let me know.
any thoughts from you guys?
I think he's right. I mean, I definitely think of it a different way now.
No, I agree. You're making a lot of sense. Like I say,
And-
I think the
Save
excavator
a
worked
lot of
out the way
money.
we
And
did
do
it
we
last
just
summer
do it,
pretty
do we just do it
well.
by the hour? If we hire somebody, rather than trying to
Rent
get a bid.
Rent the excavator and the man per hour.
Per hour.
Use our own
Yes, I-
trucks, like they
I
say.
guess that was done.
And the other thing was is, yes, you were trying to save money, but you put like the town guys in a spot, they're not used to running an excavator. So I mean, how long did it take to get used to doing what, it's, in all fairness to them, it took a lot more time for them to get used to the machine. They're, they're not used to running.
I will say they got a lot of work done for the 2 months that even though I know they might not have been used as much and it is a slow learning curve,
Yes, it
but
is.
if you hired that out, I think it would be a crazy amount of money, for what they got done in that.
Be surprised.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
You mean hire the whole job?
Yes,
Not necessarily,
Yeah,
as just.
Just an excavator and an operator.
you hired the whole
That
job.
makes
Oh,
more
yes,
sense.
if you
yeah.
hire the
Yeah.
trucks, the flagger,
Yeah.
and the,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, you'd
Yeah,
be way.
We use our own trucks, we purchase our own culverts, and we're just paying straight excavator time by the hour.
I really think the town would be way ahead.
No, it's a good idea.
So do you guys want to, with the topic of the bids, do you, I think it would be a good idea to get a backhoe bid spec as well. Do you want Chris to submit these bids for the excavator where he's done them up? Or do you want to drop it where it is and just go with a backhoe or go with nothing or what? That's what we need to decide on for what we,
Well, it sounds like we're now out of the excavator thing. We kind of leaning towards,
for today. Yeah.
right?
Until next time.
I just think digging the cost up and get the bids.
What I would probably do at this point is if you did request me to draw backhoe loader bids, is I would draft those up, bring them back to you for your approval, and then try to issue all 3 of these at the same time so they all have the same closing date, and then I could bring them all to you at the same meeting. It doesn't make sense to have it all staggered out at different times. So you could table this discussion until.
So you have an
That's what I
excavator
was
bid and a
thinking,
backhoe
yeah.
bid right in front of you.
Exactly.
No, that's a good idea.
let's do that then.
Okay, so,
But you
Yeah.
should request me to drop backhoe loader bids if that's what you wanted to do.
so we'll table the excavator discussion,
Mhm.
and then we just need a motion on a backhoe loader bid specs.
I make a motion to request the town manager to come up with bid specs for a backhoe loader.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to have the town manager to come up with bid specs for a new backhoe loader. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right,
What do the prices run? How are backhoes priced compared to the small excavators? Ballpark, about the same,
What
or
size of machine were you looking?
10,000 pound?
What's that? I mean, there's got so many names.
50.
50 or 60?
Yeah, yeah.
Have 70 in that probably.
Close.
yeah, I bet.
I was gonna say right around 85, 90. Maybe.
Maybe.
I bet it'd be close to each other. I don't think there'd be
Yeah.
much money difference, but
But 50 series on that.
So if we get back, we won't need a trailer then either.
And that also allows you, when you're loading, you want to sand, like if you have a truck stuck somewhere, I know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They take the backhoe out of here.
Yeah.
They take the backhoe out of here. There's nothing to load the other trucks with.
Yeah.
So at least, you know, if you kept that one, which they're not gonna give you anything for it anyway, I think you just leave it in the sand, it's all out. You know?
Yeah, that's what we're planning anyway.
Yeah. And I would ask, one more thing, I would ask them for a twister wrist on that backhoe.
Definitely.
That's spec'd out on the excavator anyway, so.
Be good for
all right. Next thing on the agenda is road commissioner and the discussion of a road commissioner and snow plowing advisor. This was brought to my attention by Mike, and so I'll let you take the helm on that if you want to.
So I guess my thought is that, you know, we're trying to get our roads maintained the best we can in the winter around here. And it's tough because I think a lot of it is, you know, how it's organized. It's not anyone's doing a bad job, but our road commissioner currently lives in Bar Harbor, and our public works, Justin, lives in Trenton. So when the road conditions could be bad here, they might not be as bad there. If you drive from one side of the island to the other, or if you drive to Trenton. And I just feel that we should have somebody that lives right in town, that's here most of the time, that's knowledgeable about snow plowing, maybe has had a class A or B license and done it for the town or for somebody else, and somebody that has knowledge of road construction as well. So when we get ready to repair these roads and work on them in the spring and summer and fall, we've got somebody that can advise. I think it'd be a good idea to just appoint somebody from the community to do this.
Thoughts from
And nothing against anybody that's, you know, Chris or Justin or anybody. I just think it's going to streamline it and make it easier to monitor.
And you definitely need somebody in the wintertime. I mean, I don't know as far as summertime, and rebuilding and stuff, but wintertime, you do need somebody that can call them out, somebody that can organize it, and does have some knowledge on the, you know, the ins and outs of the plow. I mean, because you've got guys that are doing a good job plowing the main drags, and you got guys that are plowing side roads, that's plowing their snow out into the road after the big truck's gone up through. I mean, somebody's got to be telling these guys when to put salt out. If the day's gonna turn out to be 38 degrees, you're not putting straight salt out. And vice versa, if it's gonna be cold and cold and you wanna put some salt. It doesn't seem to be there needs to be more guidance, I guess.
I think that's a big part of it as well. And I think whoever, if we do decide to appoint somebody, I think whoever we appoint, you know, something like a cell phone, we should either compensate them with that. They should be able to receive calls from anybody that, you know, anybody that's advising them or helping them. You know, if somebody's out at 1 o'clock in the morning, the roads are bad, call so-and-so and, hey, this is what's going on. Roads are icy up to Seal Cove. We need somebody up there. I've had mornings where I've seen, you know, 6:30 in the morning, they're just putting sand down and it's just starting to cool off. And if they'd been out 3 hours before and put that salt down when it was warm, that salt would have been able to penetrate and get the ice off the road. And then other times we put sand down and it's warmed up to 45 and we didn't really need to put sand. So getting a good balance on that, I think, is going to be key. And somebody with experience could really help with that. And even if we had to pay them a couple $1,000s a year, I think that little bit of money would be worth it in the long run for Tremont. So
Go ahead, Kevin. No.
So do you picture this person telling the public works foreman what to do?
absolutely.
Okay. And public works foreman currently makes the call on what's put down the road and what isn't, right?
Yep.
And what's this position going to do that he can do with a phone call asking someone local what the road looks like?
Asking somebody and being here to actually see it, having somebody here that can see it, I think is important. Somebody here that knows roads. I mean, we don't have anybody on our public works crew that's been plowing snow for 20 or 30 years.
I think the foreman has.
No,
He hasn't been plowing for 20 or 30 years?
no.
He's been working here for over 20.
Yeah, but we started mopping floors at the gym.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't think we've ever had a road commissioner that's lived in town.
Maybe that's been the problem with the roads all this time. I mean, you go to the Mount Desert town line and it's bare. You get into Southwest Harbor and it's bare. You come to Tremont and we're coated in ice. I mean, we got to do something. And I think it's just a matter of, like you guys were saying, getting it down at the right time.
Jed said his hand
Yeah,
up there
probably
first.
be glad to die for that.
I plowed for the first 3 or 4 years for the town. And I give it up because there is absolutely no guidance. I'd go up through the back road and I'd put on a hot load of salt when the sun was starting to come out. And when I was coming back, the next driver was plowing it off. I mean,
that's what's happening right now.
that's why I couldn't stand trying to do the best I could with what I know. And then having somebody else just, there's no point in spending all that money for salt and sand and then plowing it off. There's gotta be and you're not gonna please everybody. And you can't, these roads,
And
you're
knowing
not gonna get them like Mount Desert.
Right.
knowing how much sand to put down, or when to use straight salt or spot sand, I think that's key.
So what about the road commissioner now just having a meeting with all the plow guys? Bring in all the plow guys and say, okay, look, these are the problems that people are saying we have. Let's figure it out. I don't think we need to change everything.
No, and it seems like also that everyone's issue or the complaints that I'm hearing are around the wintertime and the snow plowing and the ice and everything else. There's not as much during the summertime. So, I mean, I don't know why we couldn't, an idea to bring in a new position to have someone that's local fill in, help and do, be there. They'd be in town to work with the road commissioner and also with the town public works foreman, and that might be a starting point to see how it works, and then go from there. It's just an idea.
I think the spring, summer, and fall road stuff is just as important. If there's things that have to be done before winter, before we plow, I mean, there's culverts need to be replaced. If somebody has that knowledge and that experience, like we know, we don't have anybody that has 20 or 30 years in an excavator or putting culverts in or
Isn't that what the
ditching.
public works foreman does though,
They don't do it all the
in
time.
the spring?
They don't do it all the time. If you had somebody that's been around construction and done it regularly every day for their whole life, that's a different level of experience to me. For
How
So
sure.
many-
you want to
many
add a
years do
whole
they need?
new employee? So you're
I-
talking about a full-time?
No, I'm saying, somebody that's willing to be close to a volunteer. We pay them a couple $1,000s a year. Maybe we pay for their cell phone bill and say, you're the road commissioner. You're willing to receive calls from people in the public. You're willing to answer questions and you're willing to deal with the town manager and the public works to make the roads better.
Who in their right mind is going to do that for a couple $1,000s? I don't want my phone ringing at 2 a.m. for $2,000, right?
Or maybe we,
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
a
we
great
pay, I
idea,
mean, maybe
but
we
I
don't,
think it's
maybe we don't, maybe
unrealistic.
that's not the price, but I'm just saying,
Right,
we
but
make it work.
For the winter time, I mean, that's my big thing, is the winter time, you've got 2 big trucks that are going up the backside and nothing getting done down here, or vice versa. Or you've got them sanding the side they haven't plowed yet, and then the other truck's coming down behind them and plowing it back off before they even make it up at the end of the line.
I've got 200 feet of visibility in front of my shop and I look out the window at night and there's a truck going by and it's putting sand down and then 20 minutes later, they're plowing it off. And that's not doing anything
That
for
would be
us.
my big thing, is the middle of the winter time, it's gonna save you money. And the 8-hour shifts or whatever, I mean, the harbor does, those guys go out and they stay out.
That's the other thing I had a concern with, because do they work 8 hours now?
The shifts,
Yeah, 8-hour shifts.
they vary.
They vary. Because when we did it, when I first started the town, we worked till the end of the storm. Because you get 2 or 3 drivers in these trucks. Not one drives or plows the same, or sands the same. So it's a tough call to get 3 different shifts in a 24-hour, you know what I mean? That way.
It sounds like we're having communication issues more than needing another person to do it.
Well,
I mean, I don't know if we need another.
Probably they need a little.
I mean, if someone's putting down sand, someone's going along behind it, I'm not sure having another person in the mix is gonna help.
How many years?
But I don't know.
I think
But
we-
do we
I've
have
seen
new
some of it
drivers
too,
this
but-
year? I mean, maybe we
No.
have.
I mean,
No, I don't, okay.
It sounds to me like it's more of a communication issue than anything. I mean,
I mean, I don't put my foot in my mouth for this one,
go for it.
but I would consider probably helping out a little bit in the winter time, if that's, but.
My biggest concern is making situations worse. And this sounds, I can see this making things much more complicated and not working well because of,
But
I think
mean, Jimmy, when I hired Jimmy worked with me quite a bit.
Yeah.
Called me up and asked me different things, but I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You got a question to ask. Everybody's got a different opinion. That's the work. But that's why I gave up plowing, because there was absolutely nobody was in charge. You just come in and you did what you wanted to do.
I mean,
that's it.
well, that's,
What's the
And you need
temperature?
somebody
What's the
that's-
temperature?
Happening now.
Yeah, you need somebody that's gonna tell them, no, this is what you're gonna do. This truck goes here, this truck stops here, one coming up the back way, 2 trucks up the back way, 2 trucks down here. That's the way it should be.
On my way down here tonight, I met the big truck plowing. They were plowing nothing. I mean, why was they even out at that point? I mean, sand the corners and hills and wait till it builds up. I mean, there's
This snow
absolutely.
plowing is a no-win situation, and you're not gonna please the soul. Good luck.
Unless you sometimes contracted out, it's a little bit better.
Well, we're beyond that point, because we already own the trucks.
Yeah.
Right. We already own the salt shed, the backhoe, and everything else, so we're stuck with it now.
I think at this point personally, I'd like to see possibly some more training or some more discussion on how it's organized rather than put another person in the mix. I mean, it'd be great if there's someone they could consult or whatever. I mean, think I might have heard a volunteer. But anyway, I'd rather see that before we complicate it anymore, personally.
No, I think that, I think I agree with that, and I think it would be, sounds like, with the concerns that have been raised, it would be more like, a coordinator for the snow plowing, for the snow plowing crew more than it would be anything, it'd just be
Right.
coordinating, what, who goes where and just how the roads are, and that's how I'm reading it.
Well, I want to be careful that the snowplow crew currently reports to the public works foreman.
Mhm.
And so I don't think you're discussing changing that structure. And I would be reluctant to want to change that structure, because if you have the drivers reporting to someone else, then that other person, they now have a huge job on their hands.
Mhm.
And what you're talking about with a part-timer being paid $1,000, we're back to I don't know who wants to do that job for $1,000. I would be very.
Or whatever it is. I mean, I'm just throwing a number out there, but whatever you.
Yeah, you can't put that guy on the detective clerk. You need to report to the highway foreman. Or-
So the drivers, so it sounds like we're on the same, the
Yeah,
drivers report to the
should still-
foreman,
Yeah,
and the foreman, if you want to have the foreman have a consultant, I see no issue with that. That seems fine.
yeah, he shouldn't have anything to do with the drivers. He talks to the foreman,
And it's,
plan.
and I would say that the foreman's, the consultant is exactly that. The consultant is not the foreman's supervisor.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a
Advisor,
person to call.
right.
Any input? I think if it is something that you want to do, I don't know how legally we should go about this, Chris, but I would think that we should take people, see who wants to do the job. Would that
Yeah,
be
so
the
I
correct way
think
to
if
do
you
it?
want this position to exist, I mean, all personnel matters are handled by the town manager. And so if you want it to exist, you could authorize me to hire a snowplow advisor, or whatever title you wanted to attach to it. And then I would just handle it from there. If it was a statutory position, like clerk, for example, that's subject to your approval. But this is not a statutory position. This is
Before I even want to do that, I'd love to see a job description firmed up a little more.
that's
Yes.
fair. You can request that I draft up a
I mean,
job
that's-
description for you and bring it back.
I
think that's
I think if it worked out well, it could be really beneficial. I think how it's done is pretty critical to not stir, not really complicate the issue. I think having someone on the ground here a lot of times where our entire crew doesn't live in town, and the conditions can be really different from here to even Southwest sometimes, or definitely the Bar Harbor side of the island or off the island. I think that would be wonderful to have someone say, what's it doing there right now? Anyone can look at the forecast. You can get the forecast from anywhere, but it really does make a difference. The forecasts
Right.
aren't
I can
100%.
I can tell you, as someone who plows in every town on this island, that, like you said, it's different everywhere. It doesn't matter. I mean, we've had times where there's nothing on the road over here. You go to Bar Harbor and there's 5 inches.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Why don't I make a motion to request the town manager to create a job description for, I don't know,
For
snowplow
Bobby
consultant.
Hang on a second. Okay, did anybody second? Okay. Okay,
You did do it.
now, hang on a second. Hang on, do we have any discussion? Okay, Bobby,
How much sand do we use per year? I can't remember. Good.
I bet less this year.
Fire.
Well, that's
You
why,
can't see it on the computer.
that's why I'm asking.
All right, so in FY last year, we used 966 yards.
Okay.
Year before that, 988. Year before that, 1324.
That was a bad year, though.
You know how much we've used so far this year?
Yeah, we've ordered about 1,010. It has not been, we haven't used that much yet. And the order that I placed today, I think, we're hopeful is gonna close us out for the year.
Okay.
We also started the year with an empty shed, so.
Which is good.
Mhm.
All right, just great. What about salt? What do we,
I can tell you that too.
just my mind going.
Yeah. Last year, we had 337 tons delivered. Year before that, 291 tons. Year before that, 234 tons. This year so far, we're currently at 335 tons. One of the things that I wrote, I emphasized this in my financial reports, but I'll repeat it for you. We're using a hotter mix this year, a higher ratio of salt to sand.
Plus you had an empty shed that you had to mix the sand and the salt together.
Exactly. So
That started off.
I recognize it's been a mild winter, so to see the salt already that high, I recognize that that's inconsistent, but there's a reason for it. Those two things.
That's one thing.
Thanks,
I'd like
Chris.
to see more salt.
We're doing it.
All right. I mean, you look at some of these other towns, they're using straight salt and it's bare. But I mean, not that we should go that route.
We don't
got a
have
big budget.
the budget for that.
No.
All right, any more
They
discussion?
can put a couple of yards.
I'll shut up.
All those in favor? Okay. Next thing is floodplain ordinance. Chris, do you fill us in on that one, please?
So we've been working on updating all of our ordinances, bringing them all up into the same format, and that is where we are with the floodplain ordinance. There are no substantive changes to it, it's just making it look like everything else.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I make a motion to approve and sign the floodplain ordinance, order it to be placed on the warrant for annual town meeting and recommend adoption.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve and sign the floodplain ordinance, order it to be placed on the warrant for the annual town meeting and recommend adoption. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, next one is the road numbering and identification 911 ordinance. I would ask you, if you don't mind,
Same
to,
thing,
yeah, summarize that too.
Yep, so 3 changes here. One of them is just changing the name of it to simply 911 ordinance. That's what everybody else calls it, so we're keeping up with the times. We're also going to change the administration of it. This is something that has been true for quite some time, that the 911 addressing officer has been responsible for it. It's also what main statutes would prefer. And we just have an out-of-date one that says that you as the Board of Selectmen and I as the road commissioner enforce it, and that's not what's actually happening, so we're just changing that to reflect reality. And then the last thing is that the enforcement of a fine, there's a statute that governs how you can collect fines, and the way that it was written in the ordinance was not technically legal. Not that we have ever, assessed a fine related to this, but you might as well. If you're fixing one thing, fix it all. For those two things.
I make a motion to approve and sign the road numbering and identification 911 ordinance in order to be placed on the warrant for the annual town meeting and recommend adoption.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve and sign the road numbering and identification 911 ordinance in order it to be placed on the warrant for annual town meeting and recommend adoption. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? I'm just gonna ask you for one more, Chris. This one, the next one is the road ordinance.
Yep, so there's only one change to this one, which is that the repeal section, the last section of this ordinance, referred to an older version of the subdivision ordinance, and the subdivision ordinance was updated last year. And so if if a lawyer were piecing through it, it would look like the current version of the road ordinance, which was passed in 1988, is superseding the subdivision ordinance, which was passed in 2019. I don't think is your intent. And so this is just making the format the same and fixing that last section.
Thanks.
I'll make a motion to approve and sign the road ordinance order to be placed on the warrant for annual town meeting and recommend adoption.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve and sign the road ordinance and order it to be placed on the warrant for annual town meeting and recommend adoption. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, the next one is the dedication of the town report. I can summarize that. Every year we dedicate it to somebody and see if anybody had any ideas. I know I've had a couple, but see what everybody thinks for the possibility of dedication.
Let's hear yours.
I know, like Wayne Patton had been on the, had been from a lot of different things, wore a lot of different shoes in town. Also, the other two members of the planning board that got done had been on there for quite a few years.
Linda Graham and Susan Snyder.
Yeah, do you know how many years roughly?
We can do the deep dive in the books. and-
Yeah, I know Wayne's was
Yeah.
a lot throughout different boards. And that was one idea that I thought of, but
And fire chief. Yeah.
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 I was thinking of Wayne too.
I was thinking Wayne too.
Guess we're on the same page.
That's easy.
Wayne it is.
Yeah.
Did you want me to do the other two or just?
Just do Wayne this year.
you guys think?
I make a motion to dedicate the 2019 town report to Wayne Patton.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to dedicate the 2019 town report to Wayne Patton. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Town manager's report.
We'll do that when we pass the signature.
Okay.
Down the line. Been a busy couple weeks here. Major emphasis, I signed that war for construction contract with Wade Minkins and Charles Bradley. Work has started down there, if you haven't been down there, so hoping to get the barge over to the end of this week and we'll start to see things happening. I've also been working on the budget work and working my way through personnel evaluations. Some minor projects going on. I had my check-in with Mike Lilly. Reviewed that school deed amendment with our town attorney. I received a reimbursement of $1,300 from the state for the work that was done on Tremont Road between Harbor Drive and Flatiron. Got an update from our attorney about the Cousins suit. The vending machine audit, updated our virus protection software, processed a general assistance application, drafted an investment policy, discussed, had a number of discussions with the resident regarding a water treatment system to be installed at their house. The state denied funding for that. I had emails with Matt Fenton regarding the Hinton Trust. I drafted a mutual aid agreement between the town and the Tremont and the town of Mount Desert for CEO services. This is to be something that would come to you before I got approval. It's just something that's in the works. I participated in a hospital focus group discussing substance use on Mount Desert Island. As you've already seen, the recycling dumpsters are now gone. Drafted the bid specifications for the excavator and the excavator trailer. I signed an environmental assessment review for the housing authority for their mold remediation project. I sent out bid specifications for next year's portable toilet contract. I received construction schedule for the library, which is in your packet tonight. And I've done first draft of the warrant for annual town meeting. Office staff has been processing absentee ballots. We had our workers' compensation audit. We onboarded Brett Withen as a new member of the planning board. Jan prepared the financial reports, which you reviewed tonight. John and Jan staffed a planning board meeting. Katie's been preparing for the March 3rd election, as well as preparing for the town, getting the town report together. We did have a couple very brief office closures. We closed 30 minutes early on Friday, February 7th due to a power outage and an internet outage. There's not much we can do at that point. It was 3:30 on Friday and no one was coming. And it was snowing. What we also had staff illness, which resulted in us opening 20 minutes late on Monday, but we got somebody in here. And then Katie got all of her materials to be able to notarize documents. Public Works projects, they reconfigured the recycling center, updated the sign, took away the blue cans. They relocated that speed radar to Kellytown. If any of you have any requests for future locations, just let me know. We ordered plow steel, lots of truck maintenance and salting and sanding. And then we've had a couple loads of salt delivered. Our harbor master has been working with Charles Bradley on the wharf reconstruction. Things have really started down there. Also issued a couple wharf permits and has been preparing the spring launch schedule. We're optimistically thinking spring is right around the corner. And then over the next few weeks, some things going on. I am planning to do a talk at the library to present the budget this year and discuss the town meeting process. It's a new thing, see how it goes. This is also part of the requirements to become a certified manager, which is one of the goals that you had set for me. So the talk will be on March 12th, and so you might see some advertising about that. I received a quote for gym floor renovation, and I expect this to be an agenda item at your next meeting. I'm hoping that this current week will be my last week of paternity time. I will say that there have been some hiccups in my childcare arrangements, and so my schedule may still be a little bit unpredictable, but somehow I think I'm still going to get 40 hours in starting next week, which I'm looking forward to. League of Towns meeting next week, a Hancock County Planning Commission meeting next week, also the meeting regarding the Town Hill Transfer Station next week, and be completing the budget and presenting it to you at your meeting on March 9th, and then the election on March 3rd.
The town and transfer stations, the land the park owns.
Correct.
Okay.
That is, has similar to the one that you saw tonight, has a deed restriction that it can only be used for a transfer station for the island towns. And so Tremont is seen as having an interest in that, which is why I was invited to this meeting. But they're trying to get that deed restriction changed so that solar array could be put there, or affordable housing could be put there, or something else could be put there, because it doesn't seem like there needs to be a transfer station.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
All right. I have changed and put 8B in as an executive session. So do you have the
You.
on that?
I'm just gonna make a motion.
Kevin. Lucky me.
Take a bigger file.
I did my tour of duty.
Get a lot of these. Okay. I make a motion to find the public discussion of these personal matters could reasonably be expected to cause damage to the employee's reputation and or violate the employee's privacy rights, and therefore to go into executive session to discuss the employment, appointment, assignment, duties, demotion, compensation, evaluation, disciplining, resignation, and or dismissal of an individual or group of public officials, appointees, or employees as permitted by 1 MRSA 405.6.a.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session as read by Kevin.
Chicken.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
Good night, thank you.
Night.
Thanks. Bobby's idea. That's a good idea. On the machine in my program.